Today I'm going to be speaking about the kind of company we want to give ourselves. And I'll start by saying this is like what we might call exposure, what we're willing to expose ourselves to. For example, if you have a dark room with the film, the negative, it's going to determine a lot about the outcome by what it's exposed to, the film exposure. So we're looking at it like that. Like during these periods of when we're open, we're not going to call it a blank slate. We'll say kind of like in the dark room, like it's not yet got its edges yet. It's not yet defined. And so these are really deal breakers. It's going to impact how we're going to develop. So first of all, there's some things that are impossible to accommodate because they're built on disempowerment. So I'm going to just run through a few that I've come up with or I've researched, and you're welcome to write your own list of deal breakers. These are things that will not allow you to develop properly and will cause the sense of exposure to be for bad company and set the tone for things that are not sustainable. So it doesn't value my time or energy, expects mind reading, is dismissive of my concerns, doesn't appreciate my offerings, or contributions, disrespects my boundaries, doesn't meet my needs, doesn't reciprocate effort, doesn't share my values, is excuse-oriented versus problem-solving oriented, dishonesty and avoidance, weaponizes my insecurities, and conveniences my wounds against me at times. This is not good company for me. These are all things that take away a sense of trust and the innate innocence and goodness that relationships need to be built on for us to feel safe, to grow, let the guard down, make mistakes, and even correct such mistakes. So something to go by is by Evans of, this is back in the 90s, but he came up, in the author of the book I was reading quoted this from a while ago. This is the old book called The Couple's Journey. So actually it was a woman, not a man, who wrote that book, The Couple's Journey, and quoted the scientist Evans. And what she was saying was that Evans came up with what basic rights in a relationship are. And obviously you're going to have different rights. And like I said, it's a deal breaker. So the things that you won't tolerate, these are some things that are required. So this is the other side of it, the rights, the birth rights in the relationship. As soon as the relationship is birthed, these are some of the rights. So goodwill from the other, emotional support, be heard and courteously responded to, have one's own view, even if different than partner, have feelings, experiences acknowledged as real, receive a sincere apology for even offensive jokes, clear and informative answers to questions that legitimately concern the one who's asking's business, to live free from criticism, accusations, angry outbursts, rage, judgment, blame, physical or emotional threat, to have work and interests spoken of with respect and encouragement, to not be called by a name that feels devaluing, and to be asked respectfully rather than ordered. Many of us might, in our minds, intellectually believe that we understand these rights and these deal breakers. However, in our practices, we may not actually adhere to them, both on the side of giving rights to the other, but also, getting our own rights, but also with deal breakers, respecting the other person's deal breakers and also having our own. So there's like a therapeutic element to this. Therapy is like the support and the journey. So the takeaways now to start from wherever we're starting from is trying to make it work with everybody is impossible. It's very clear that for there to be a relationship that is sustainable with its rights and with its deal breakers, and this is obviously to give ourselves good company, but we are our first company. There's a reason a lot of us might stay in these relationships that don't work or try to make it work with everyone, and that's to avoid ourselves, to avoid our own company. So it is impossible to make it work with everybody, but to try to do that means we think it's even more impossible to try to make it work with ourselves. Another problem here is when we're so accustomed to not having rights or not respecting deal breakers or having them, there's something called trauma bonding, which is a physiological response that turns into an addiction, which is dopamine and cortisol. Dopamine is like, I got what I wanted, and cortisol is like, I can handle this. So it's, I get what I want and I can handle this. So the stress has to go up so I can handle this. And then the stress has to be temporarily relieved so that we could say, I got what I want. So it actually results in this big complex kind of sense of self, which includes the other and me, and not knowing where I end and where they begin, and kind of not being willing to let go of this other person's needs and focus on my own, or not being willing to like say this is not working or recognize when something's toxic, kind of in a sense like I don't want to be alone with myself for the rest of my life. And so we'll ignore red flags. And another therapeutic takeaway is that's always to our detriment. It's not going to go away. It'll start to live under our skin and live inside of our organs, and it doesn't ever make the relationship actually last. It just prolongs this sense of feeling alone and feeling powerless, aimless. It doesn't feel like you can build with somebody if you're ignoring your deal breakers and your rights. And another one is, it makes it easier to run away from somebody, and to lower anxiety about feeling betrayed when somebody refuses to honor your boundaries if you villainize them. So in a way, the final angle to this is really that once we start to recognize somebody is not respecting our boundaries or deal breakers, or is not giving us our rights, or we can't even do it, and we keep being disappointed with ourselves, that we keep losing control of our temper, or feel unheard, or feel no control, or feel kind of like stuck in someone else's schedule or needs, we might start to say they're a bad person. We might find all these reasons to throw them away, and like kind of like other them, make them be an enemy. So this actually has a function. It lowers the anxiety that we have a close friend betraying us, somebody so close to us. A part of us knows that we're feeling so unpleasant about it, but another part of us is also like trying to make sure we only have good company. So when we ignore these red flags, we only cause even more of this sense of feeling split. We're idealizing this person like, oh, they're never supposed to disappoint me. I thought this was a safe place to never be disappointed. I thought I could really be myself. And then on the other side of it, hating them because how dare you, hurt me, and like not realizing it's splitting. It's saying on the one hand, this is the safest, most reliable person in the whole world, and they're probably not. They're probably just another person who makes mistakes, and there's a reason we're doing that, but we can't get to that layer of it if we keep splitting. And then we might go to the other side, which is I hate them. They're the worst person in the world, who's like the least trustworthy. And that's really like unfortunately a big part of the cluster B personality struggle, whether you yourself go numb, become cold, pull alone, make a guard around yourself, or you're dealing with somebody like that. It's called cluster B personality disorder. Now, that's just the diagnosis, but what we're really talking about here is the sense of splitting is going hot and cold inside of ourselves toward that person. And they may have a tendency to, when they act in whatever way and they get rebuked for it, they may actually shut down. And when there's a relationship where they have to shut down because of the rebuke, they may be the one who keeps seeking out people who are so hot, not numb, who are so feeling, that they're so sensitive, that everything becomes a deal breaker. So when we look at it, it's like, it's a never-ending battle for this other person who kind of is being called that they have a disorder to appease, let's say, me in this situation, let's say to appease me with my never-ending desires or concerns or complaints, having, going pouting and then criticizing and then mocking and then every tactic in the world because it's always hurting. So the relationship will never be sustainable if the basic rights and the deal breakers are not necessarily honored. And so you'll end up with someone who is taking up all the space in somebody who's really like essentially disappearing in some way and still being called the bad guy. And they're not able to make, you happy because they're not able to meet every single need that you have. But the fact that you keep doing that and ignoring your basic rights shows how complex this becomes. And it is very painful to cut the cord with difficult relationships. But I did write something. It's called Giving Hope. And this is a message I wrote to myself when I was really, really feeling the extreme grief of cutting off some of the connections that there wasn't allowed to be deal breakers. I wasn't allowed to, and deal breakers, obviously, they change. And, the rights in the relationship were just a rough draft, but like we all would really like that. So we also have to be that. Like, we can't be expecting mind reading. We can't be doing all these tactics. We can't be so aggressive that the people around us shut down and then we have to villainize them and say they're horrible people, because we don't have hope, because we don't believe in ourselves, because we don't think that after this person leaves or, it ends, we'll never find anyone else again, or that everybody, will eventually disappoint us. Like, there's work that has to be done. So that deep pain, I wrote something and I want to read it to you. It's called Giving Hope. I love you, and I'm going to hold my hand on my heart this whole time. And I'm going to read it to myself and to you. I love you. We are so connected. I feel you. You're real. You matter. You are so special, so important. I know you. It'll be okay. You're not alone. You're loved. You're good. You're innocent. You deserve happiness. You're so talented, so strong, so in tune. You're protected. You're adapting. You're capable. You have bent with the pain, never broke. You have such a strong resolve. Your ability to endure has given you depth and power. You've risen above it all every single time. You're one of the most courageous people in the world. You feel it all and you persist, and you might envy the numb and ignorant, but they'll never know the true essence of beauty or joy or glory the way you have. You are holy or universal. You're tapped in. I love you. The me that's you and the you that's me, we are all the same. You're magical and natural and pure. Look inside, you'll see this is true. You will be okay. Trust me, you'll find a way, or a way will find you. I know it doesn't seem like it at times, but there are infinite truths, and one will become visible sooner than you think. I know you feel lost, fallen through the cracks, but you're not able to be wiped out. No matter how small you let your spark get, it will be a pocket always existing, moving through time and space. You're not your circumstances. You're so much more. You'll be okay. Trust me. You'll find a way, or a way will find you. I love you. You're not your job, family, friends, partner, hobbies. You're not your body. You're not your height, weight, build, or pigmentation. Your organs serve you. Your limbs help mobilize and assist you. You're not any of your feelings. They come and go. And you're not any of your thoughts, because none of them standing alone have any meaning. They're about the future, the past, the versions of your experience you integrate. You're able to be a foundation for thoughts, a backdrop for feelings. A part of you watches the movements. Please find that part of you and hold tight. It'll get you through everything. I love you. I'm far away. This little faraway message for the voice in your head coming to your island, perhaps. Like on a tiny staticky radio, but it's me here if you can feel me. I'm in a body. I'm the part of me that isn't the motion or the thoughts or feelings. I'm here and I care. I'm with you. I love you. I'm always with you. Wishing you hope. Wishing you good company and sustainability in your relationships. May your rights and your deal breakers be exposed for you to work with.